Is old YouTube or new YouTube better? Thank you for your opinion.
Today's video is sponsored by Cool Shirts. Use code ALLIE for 10% off. Link in the description below.
Before we start, I am well aware I have a gigantic gash on my lip. It is most definitely not a cold sore, and it is definitely a battle wound from a fight I had with an 8-foot man that I definitely won. Try to not let it distract you, even though I know it is really cool. Do you really miss old YouTube, or do you just miss how life was back then? Oh yeah, I went there. Unless you just started watching YouTube like this year, there is most definitely an era of YouTube that you miss and makes you feel super nostalgic. Whether that was waiting for a new PewDiePie funny montage video, Jenna Marbles posting a new video dressing up her dogs, waiting for a new Ryan Higa skit, maybe a new Dan and Phil Sims 4 video. I am projecting. These are all things that make me nostalgic and miss old times. YouTube has been around for a very long time. 18 years to be exact. Scarily enough, that might be older than some of you watching this. And boy oh boy, we have come a very long way from the kitty cat dance, chocolate rain, and the Power Rangers theme. Oh my god, dude, the way that my inner child healed so much when I saw that news.
Thank you all. Your love has broken the curse and freed my soul.
When you think about it though, since YouTube has been around for quite a bit now, old YouTube is kind of vague because someone could be saying old YouTube, but maybe they're talking about Filthy Frank, maybe they're talking about, 2014 PewDiePie, maybe they're talking about the British YouTube takeover, or the Tumblr era of people like the Fab Five, or you could be talking about creators like Liam Kyle Sullivan, Michael Buckley from What the Buck, iJustine, or Fred. For the sake of this video though, I actually did a poll on my Instagram. Feel free to follow my Instagram if you want to be, a participant of some of my videos and things that I do. And I asked my story, what is old YouTube to you? And the date that won is anything before 2014. That is personally one of the years that I really feel like YouTube started taking more of a corporate shift, and the dynamic of channels really started changing around that time. I look young. I understand. Could a 17-year-old beat up an 8-foot man? My point here, though, is that I have been watching YouTube for pretty much my entire life. I was watching Shane Dawson at like 8 years old. So the title, though, is quite a heavy question because there are a decent amount of factors that kind of play into the answer. Because you have to compare, the content overall, the community, and how YouTube is now set up today compared to how it was in the previous years. This video is coming from the perspective of somebody who has watched YouTube since around 2008, 2009, and has been making videos and building a community on YouTube since around 2013. There was a time, and this might be obvious to a lot of people, but there was a time where YouTubers, first of all, didn't make money. Second of all, no one could ever fathom the idea that YouTube could become your full-time job one day, let alone create millionaires. Due to how much YouTube content creation has grown, creators are now living more than comfortable. But is that something that has led to the quote-quote downfall of YouTube? There is an argument towards whether new or old YouTube is better, and that is something that I'm going to dive in today. But yeah, let's get started. Heads up, I will be talking about things that people dislike about YouTube, and I do those things, but it does indeed prove my point that I am a part of new YouTube. The quality of videos being released today are definitely better than they used to be. If you go back and watch an old YouTube video, they're sometimes pretty hard to watch, but depending on your preference, this could be a good or bad thing. With videos being poor quality, you might often get a feeling while watching it that, okay, this person is just here for a good time. But when somebody has an expensive ass camera, professional lighting, a mic that sounds like
Morgan Freeman himself,
it can feel more commercial sometimes. Pair that with a 1 or 2 minute ad segment and boom, a vibe has changed. I personally think the biggest switch up from videos feeling genuine was the rise of brand deals. We're gonna be using the word perspective quite often. Warning. Putting this into perspective, between 2007 and 2012, 5 years, there were only about 473 sponsored videos posted on YouTube. That's not a lot. Think about all the YouTube videos that you most commonly watch. They're probably all sponsored. I mean, damn, even this video is sponsored.
Use code Allie for 10% off.
Like I said, I've been a fan and a creator on YouTube, and don't get me wrong, ads can be annoying sometimes. When I say I absolutely used to fucking despise Audible because they would sponsor everyone who breathed, and if I heard that name, I would start gagging. The fact that they sponsored so many people made me actually not want to buy their service. I couldn't handle it being shoved down my throat. I get it though. Make that bag. And I say, make that bag, because something that a lot of people don't really realize is that the majority of the creators that you watch, YouTube is their main income. So where you lose me is people coming to YouTube just to make the money. The rise of money-hungry creators is very much so to blame for the large vibe switch in the YouTube community. And then let's fast forward to 2017. What was that? The death of Vine. With Vine dying, I will say we did get some immaculate YouTubers to this day. Salute. But we did get a lot of the toxic ones. So you win some, you lose some. And you know, I feel like around 2017 to 2019, you really had the boom, the big boom of creators understanding that they can take advantage of kids quite well. And I'm not saying promoting your merch is a bad thing if you do have, you know, a younger audience. I was promoted merch when I was young. But they'll be like, I don't love you unless you buy my merch. But you know what's really beautiful that came out of the stupidity of many creators? The growth of YouTube commentary. Commentary has existed since like the early days of YouTube. I'm not saying that shit just popped out of thin air in like 2019, 2020. But you have to admit there definitely was a big boom in creators, like a huge birth of just a bunch of them just like rising from the ground. And there are still shithead creators today. Not gonna lie. But I feel like they've tamed themselves down quite a lot. So because we're considering anything after 2014, I do not blame the argument of people being like, new YouTube is ass. Because I'm like, maybe. Because yeah, there's been a lot of crap YouTubers. More than there were in old YouTube. Money did damage, I will say. There were a lot less regulations that YouTube had in place, so a bit more of a Wild West. Communities were way smaller, so it was easier to feel connected to the creator. There wasn't really that fear of, oh god, will this video get taken down? And we were younger, so a lot more was new to us. With our years being anything before 2014, it is kind of hard to talk about old YouTube since, you know, 2014 videos are very different than videos being released in 2009, but overall, videos posted in the early YouTube days were just a lot more chill. If you had a camera, that was cool, but sometimes people would just use their webcam. So that's definitely the comfort vibe I talk about when referencing old YouTube. People would kind of just grab their cameras and film whatever they wanted to. But on the other hand, you also had a lot of creators making very offensive content, stuff that normalized racism, ableism, sexism, all the isms, and just a bunch of stuff that people want to disguise as dark humor. But new YouTube being better is also such a valid statement, because nowadays we honestly get some really amazing content, a lot of really great production, and for the creators it can be a full-time job, so it's nice to be able to know that what you put out there, not only are you getting really great feedback from your community, but it's your job, you know? So it's pretty fucking cool. Of course, you still have the money-hungry fools, the corporate vibe we talked about, demonetization fear, Jimmy Kimmel. There are seriously so many positives and negatives of each side. So let's keep the conversation going to try and narrow out and answer a little bit more. This has changed so much. Newsflash. YouTube was not cool. If you liked YouTubers, that was a gateway ticket to being called a fucking loser. Even when, like, stereotypically hot people started making YouTube videos, people like O2L, That's So Jack, Andrea Russet, Cameron Dallas, those folks, if you were a YouTube kid, you were still lame. Now, Very different. Now I find it weird if you don't watch YouTube. I was planning on going to VidCon this year, but it didn't work out. But I did go to one event that was like an after party thing. And this event had both creators and fans. So I was kind of able to see like a sneak peek into the modern day creator fan vibe. First of all, creator side was like crazy. And I do want to point out, I have a feeling a lot of these people were TikTokers, so take this with a grain of salt. Some of the most stuck up people I have ever met in my life. It was so hard to have a conversation with anybody. It was so hard to be in the room with I feel like this vibe really came with the TikTok community, like the creators on that side. But it is really sad to just compare how creators act nowadays. Sure, you'd have an occasional stuck up creator, but like it wasn't the norm. I'd actually be really shocked if somebody was like rude. Everyone was so friendly, dorky, and just most of the time humble and just acting like kids on the internet. Second, the fans there were actually super sweet and respectful. I didn't have anybody come up to me, so I'm just talking about like what I was seeing with other people. Back in the day though, all you got was just like trampling, just screaming, pushed boundaries, not appropriate at all. Even if people didn't know who they were, they would just like hop on the bandwagon and be like, but I feel like now, just because there are so many creators and so many niches of content, that maybe that isn't super common anymore. I don't know. I didn't go to the actual VidCon, so I don't know if that stuff happened there. Fans will forever be the backbone of YouTube, and with YouTube becoming more mainstream, the amount of users is also why there's been such a drastic change in the vibe on YouTube. As an example, let's kind of compare subscriber numbers. It's pretty common for somebody that you watch to have 1 million subscribers. Obviously, that is still a huge deal. I am not invalidating that at all. I could only dream. But what was the dream back in the day was 100,000, which by the way, I am very close to 100K, and I would love you subscribe so I can hit that. In terms of comments and such, it's a little bit harder to say. The internet has become a very opinionated place. The internet has always been a very opinionated place, but I don't know. It's gotten a lot more intense, I feel. I feel like YouTube has done a really great job at making sure my videos hit the right demographics, so I haven't really experienced a lot of hate comments. They're there, but not as often. Back in the day, I got quite a lot of hate comments, but I feel like I was just a targetable person. I was super young. I was a girl. Hello. And I don't know. It's just easy for boys to fuck with girls, to be fully honest. So overall, my experience with comments has been pretty positive with, new YouTube. But to fully say that old YouTube communities are way better than new YouTube communities is kind of hard. All right. This is a big one. The most controversial decision that YouTube has ever made in terms of their platform was to remove the dislikes. Personally, I don't care that much. I know. Hear me out. I'm not a very opinionated person where if I see a video that doesn't resonate with me, I'm gonna dislike it. I don't always think the video is bad, but some people genuinely use the dislike button as like, I don't like this video that you made, make other stuff. For me, I'm not like that. I only did if it was like a bandwagon thing, it was funny to dislike something, or if some YouTuber made like a really shit apology, like that's valid to dislike that because you're stupid. But I do understand the frustration and feeling like your voice is taken away by them completely just stripping that from you. It just didn't affect me personally, but I know it did to a lot of people, and that is one of the biggest arguments in why people think old YouTube is a whole lot better than what we have today. The other thing, which actually I feel like they're actively trying to figure out and change, which I appreciate as a creator, and that is YouTube being extremely family friendly. YouTube, homie, I get you. I know you want to be as advertisable. You want to be as brand friendly as possible. But I promise you, there are plenty of brands out there that do not care if a creator says fuck one too many times. Like Cool Shirts, who don't fucking care because they're cool. Like I said though, I actually think YouTube is getting a lot better with this, but I know creators are still tippy-toeing around the subject because you don't really know. To be fully honest, I don't exactly blame YouTube for having a few years where they were really strict about what they allowed on their website, because let's be real here, there were videos like this being posted almost every day.
This prank is backfiring badly for these two brothers.
I don't want to wait for marriage anymore. Please.
No.
Please.
What? No.
Around 2017, 2018, 2019, in those really, really rough years, it was just such a dramatic shift from YouTube really not caring about what went up in previous years. A lot of people also just really don't like the recommendation system. I don't dislike it at all, but I definitely have caught myself refreshing the page more than a few times, really trying to find something new and trying to maybe find creators that I haven't heard of before. But also, can you really blame the algorithm for recommending you the exact same thing when a lot of people are making the exact same thing? I mean, shit, have you seen all of the MrBeast wannabes? Have you seen Brent Rivera stealing from everybody? There has most definitely been a plague of content stealers. There's no doubting that. It's easier, I guess. Sure, YouTube was meant to be easy, but I don't know, that easy. I do really think that no matter what YouTube does, people are not gonna like it because they're always gonna be chasing that nostalgic simplicity feeling that YouTube used to have. But complexity was bound to happen to YouTube anyways. It really was. If it stayed the same, no one would really use it anymore. Viewers would probably be left unsatisfied all the time because if content didn't grow and content didn't keep getting better, they're gonna be like, why am I watching the same thing every day? And creators wouldn't feel motivated to keep doing better because there isn't money helping them fund their passion and what they love to do. And two, there wouldn't be much competition really making them feel like they had to do better in the first place. So it really would be a lose-lose situation and YouTube would just fall off the face of the earth. So we've definitely got the memo that YouTube's changed a lot. And I definitely see it from a creative perspective just as much as I see it from a viewer perspective. I did YouTube from 2013 to like 2016, 2017, around that time is where I stopped. And even from just 2017, I'm able to recognize how much it has changed for the better. Not them deleting my YouTube comments and continuing to delete my YouTube comments even after I was a minor. That part was kind of shit. I respect that they're trying to protect minors on the platform and stuff like that. That's cool, but I was like 20 and they were still saying my comments couldn't be displayed because I was a minor. But even from that situation, I'm definitely able to recognize the support that creators get compared to what they used to get. Unless you had millions of subscribers, you were very lucky to have YouTube support with anything. Now, it's very different. So after I posted my first video back, my Dan and Phil video, my channel got hacked because I am fucking stupid. I got an email for a brand deal. It was for a video game that I actually had seen a lot of, YouTubers repping. It seemed pretty legit. It wasn't like Royal Clash Legends, I don't know, one of those, but it was like an actual game. So I thought there was a link that was supposed to take me to their Steam page, but it took me to a sketchy website, and before I could do anything, shit was downloading. So, boom. Screwed. Within 5 minutes, I was locked out of everything and I was like hyperventilating. I was going through it. But after getting in touch with some of my old YouTube friends, I found out that YouTube support actually works now. And within 2 days, I had my entire account back. All my strikes were taken off because, yes, they were posting scam videos acting like it was me in a robotic voice. Weird, but it got detected as scam, so I got strikes on my account, but they took those off and everything was back to normal. I was all good. But back in the day when I tried to get in contact with somebody about my comments and how I'm not a minor anymore, they basically just told me to go fly a kite. They can't do shit. So, cool. Sorry to bring up money one more time, but it's just such an important part in the differences of how YouTube was and is now. So I have a lot to talk about with it. It was very difficult to make money just through YouTube back in the day. You weren't making much unless you were hitting those big numbers. And even when you were hitting those big numbers, you weren't making near as much of what you could be making now with those big numbers. So the solution to that was to join an MCN, which is a multi-channel network. That's where you saw a big rise in companies like Fullscreen and Awesomeness TV. You saw like pretty much all your favorite creators were partnered with one of those. They only really gave a shit about you if you had millions, and I mean millions of subscribers. And they could put your face on their front page of their website so that they look like they're more important than they are. I was with Awesomeness TV, and I will say that was completely pointless. Pretty sure they just took majority of my money, and they did nothing for me. I don't think I ever talked to a single soul. Nowadays, you have creators pretty much popping out of thin air. Like, everyone wants to be a YouTuber. It can be pretty hard to grow, but in my opinion, it was actually harder to grow on YouTube back in the day. I think the algorithm wasn't near as developed as it is today. The recommendation system was honestly pretty rigged, and there was also a lot less people on the internet in general. Numbers really meant something completely different. Between 2013 and 2017, I only hit around 20k subscribers. Maybe 21k was like my peak, and that was enough for me to have meet and greets, to have lines of people that wanted to meet me at VidCon. I had a YouTube friend group that a bunch of people followed and really wanted updates on. I had fan pages, hate pages, an amino about me, just with 20k people. Now I'm almost at 100k, and to be honest, I think if I went to VidCon, I don't know if anyone would have known who I was. And that's not me complaining or anything. It's me kind of just putting in perspective how different numbers were back then.
Now I think it's easier to grow, but in exchange, we did used to have more tight-knit communities.
Now, I didn't know about 80% of the VidCon lineup. Like, I didn't know who any of those people were. Making content is just very different now. Not necessarily in a bad way, but I definitely think that there's a big change in your viewership. If you are a creator, don't lose hope. I promise the algorithm is on your side. I know it seems like it's not on your side, but I promise it's on your side. There's so many resources on how to figure out the algorithm and how to make it work for you, which is something that there wasn't back in the day. But with all of that being said, I think it's time for an answer. YouTube is just never going to be Harry Potter Puppet Pals or After Ever After ever again. I know, it hurts. Times are changing, and with that, YouTube is changing. And that is okay, and it is okay to miss those times. What do I think the answer is? Is new or old YouTube better? I think I like new YouTube. Listen, I miss how genuine and simple things used to be on YouTube, but that's just not the reality with the internet anymore. Well, and granted, when people have this argument, it's not really ever logistically, it's more of just, how did it feel? Was old YouTube or is new YouTube better? And if that's the case, sure, old YouTube, because we all have nostalgia for it, you know? We are all gonna miss something that we cannot ever touch or reach ever again.
I don't want to come off as people only like old YouTube just for nostalgic factors. That's not really what I meant, so I'm going to expand on it real quick. There was so much support from fans and viewers that watched your content, and because it was such a tight-knit community, everything genuinely felt like a family. And most people who have the opinion that old YouTube is better are viewers, and that's why it's 100% valid for you to think old YouTube was better. But I am biased. I am not only a viewer, but I'm also a creator. And as a creator, new YouTube is really amazing for us. It's the best it's ever been right now. And I think the positive of the YouTube community getting larger now is that as a viewer, I'm really never left wanting more.
I personally love how hard people work on their YouTube videos now. It really shows, and that's something that I feel like I always craved from old YouTube, was wanting to feel like they actually cared about what they were putting out there. The new stuff just leaves my pea-sized brain perfectly itched all the time. A cat playing a piano was absolutely insane to me. I would still watch that, to be fully honest, but it was new. I just feel like it's a lot easier now to get in motion as a creator, and I feel like it's very easy to be satisfied as a viewer nowadays. I feel like it's a win-win. Creators are making money and being able to put stuff out there and spend time on stuff because it's become their job, and viewers are constantly entertained by more and more creators that are finding, you know, their voice and spreading cool stuff. It's a win-win, it really is. So if you want to yell at me in the comments, that's totally all right. I definitely understand, but yes, my final answer is that I think new YouTube is great, and I think that it's only evolving, and it's just gonna get better. I also want to hear you guys' opinions, I really do, because I think it's a debate, and you know, everyone's gonna have different opinions, and that's totally all right. But overall, I feel like new YouTube is great, and I feel like it's just gonna keep getting better, and that's awesome. But yeah, if you guys like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Make sure to tell me your opinion, what you think. And yeah, thank you again, Cool Shirts, for sponsoring this video. I appreciate it. It's an honor to work with you guys. And yeah, if you want to follow me on other stuff, that'll be in the link tree below, as well as my link where you can get 10% off for Cool Shirts. See you guys. Bye.